Nigeria joins the rest of the world to mark World Press Freedom Day with focus on challenges and role of the media towards creating a better world. The Department of State Services warns against unguarded utterances. These and more on Panorama today with me, Ruth Aguele. Thank you for joining us. As the world marks Press Freedom Day, President Muhammadu Buhari says his administration is committed to freedom of the press, but urges media professionals to wield freedom responsibly and without licentiousness. A statement here by his media advisor, Femi Adesina, celebrating the landmark day with the media, the president notes that freedom of the press is an irreducible minimum in a democracy that would flourish. He says the fact that everything is permitted does not mean that there are no rules of correctness, particularly in a polity seriously challenged as Nigerians. The media, he emphasizes, must be sensitive to what the country is going through as a nation, saying anything that would worsen the situation and further inflame passions and emotions should be avoided. President Buhari pledges greater cooperation with the media to discharge its duties in line with the theme of this year's World Press Freedom Day, information as a public good, urging those who manage information for government to do everything in public interest. Similarly, President of the Senate Ahmed Lawan felicitates with Nigerian journalists as they celebrate this year's World Press Freedom Day. In a statement, Senator Lawan noted that May 3rd is set aside every year to remind governments around the world of their obligations to facilitate and respect press freedom, and also to remind journalists of the need to respect the ethics of the profession. Lawan stressed that the 9th Senate and the National Assembly in general will never pass any law that will inhibit the freedom of the press. In the same vein, Secretary to the Government of the Federation and Chairman of the Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19, Boss Mustafa, joins other eminent personalities to celebrate the Nigerian media on the occasion of the World's Press Freedom Day. The SGF, in a statement, assured media practitioners of the continued support of the Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19, while urging them to use their role as purveyors of news to build a strong and united country by adhering to the ethics of the profession. Well, the globe challenges the world. The global challenges the world have faced during the COVID-19 pandemic underline the critical role of reliable, verified and universally accessible information in saving lives and building stronger, resilient societies. Secretary General of the United Nations said this as the world marks 2021 World Press Freedom Day. Let's hear more from Adebola Brookslyn Sunday.
Freedom of expression and press freedom, analysts say, are critical to the successful implementation of good governance and human rights around the world. In commemorating the day, the UN scribe in a video message said, information as a public good is a call to affirm the importance of cherishing information and exploring what can be done in the production, distribution, and reception of content to strengthen journalism.
Journalists and media workers help us navigate a fast-changing and often overwhelming landscape of information, while addressing dangerous inaccuracies and falsehoods. In too many countries, they run great personal risk, including new restrictions, censorship, abuse, harassment, detention, and even death, simply for doing their jobs. And the situation continues to worsen.
Antonio Guterres said both freedoms were essential for the shaping of a new global sustainable development agenda.
The United Nations Plan of Action on the Safety of Journalists aims to create a safe environment for media workers across the globe because information is a public good.
Steps to ensure the economic viability of news media, mechanism for ensuring transparency of internet companies, as well as defend and demand journalism as a vital part of information as a public good are some of the highlights of the day. Adebola Brookslyn Sunday, NTA News.
Thank you very much, Adebola. And we want to expand the discourse. We know it's a day that we journalists, should reflect on the importance of press freedom and also the professional ethics. And I have my guest already in the studio, Ladi Bala. She's the National President, Nigeria Association of Women Journalists. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much for
And did I mention she's one of us? Okay, so it's World Press Freedom Day. Yeah. It's a big day for journalists around the world. But the theme I find very interesting this year, information as a public good. What does it say to you?
Yeah, let me start by celebrating journalists all over Nigeria for their contribution towards the development of democracy, for promoting transparency and holding powers to account, as well as mobilizing the society, to support government policies and programs. Yeah, the theme of this year's celebration of the World Press Freedom Day is up, because information is a commodity. It is of service.
Yes.
What we do in the media basically is to pass information, to educate and to entertain. And so these are critical roles. So, but the issue is that what kind of information do we give out there? What is the quality of the information? And how does this information help in shaping the society? So it is important. That's why I say the team is up. As media practitioners, as journalists, and as media organizations, it is important that we weigh the kind of information that we put out there.
Okay.
For a developing country like Nigeria, and given the realities of what is on ground today, everything revolves around the information.
Yes.
What content do we generate? The content that we generate and the information that we give there, does it help in uniting this country? If it is not, then it's not worth it. Because whatever we do is for the good of the people. So the information that we give must serve the people first before serving our own interests. So I think the interest of the general, of the people or the public should be paramount in the kind of information that the media gives out, or journalists.
Okay, let me hold your thoughts there. Yeah. And when we look at the work of a journalist, it should be accessible, discerning, and persistent. And of course, you've seen how journalists display the ethics of the profession. But for you, what is your assessment in terms of that display of the ethics of the profession? Are journalists really going by the code of conduct?
Yes.
Okay.
Journalists
all of them?
Yeah, most of them.
Okay.
Most of them, except for few. And that is why the Nigerian Union of Journalists and also NAWOJ, we've been working hard to eliminate quackery. We don't want to have people that are not real journalists in the practice of the profession here in this country. But by and large, those that are, for instance, those that are with the traditional media, talk about the NTA, hardly can you find a journalist in NTA or FRCN or any of those traditional media organization, misbehaving. We always operate within the covers of the ethics of the profession. And to a large extent, that is the only way to operate if we must keep our country as one indivisible nation. And I don't know, I still want to talk about, we talk about the freedom.
Yeah,
There's this other freedom, the aspect of the freedom of the press that I think is very important that we bring to the notice of powers, the issue of the economic freedom.
Okay.
Yeah, apart from the professional freedom, I think the economic freedom for the journalists is very important.
When you say economic freedom, what exactly are you talking about?
I'm talking about the economic power. I'm talking about the salaries, the welfare, and particularly the salary. In this country, I think we need the media salaries structure. There should be something like capture just the media. They need the people that work in the media, particularly journalists, need to be paid well because of the kind of challenges we face and the kind of risks that journalists take. But what they're being paid is really nothing to write home about, given the magnitude of work they do. So I think when we talk about press freedom, the economic freedom of the press should be looked into.
When a woman is heading a position, you definitely see the impact she's making, which is what you're already doing for us. And looking at women in journalism, we get to see a lot happen. And if you look at the media phase, most of the journalists you see on our screens are women. So you would say that women are playing critical roles when we're talking journalism. But from your assessment, what can we change? What can we improve to make women participate more effectively in journalism?
What we can do is what we are already doing. I'm glad you're able to notice that these days women are taking over the tubes. They are taking over pages of newspaper, unlike what it used to be in the past. You see men doing presentation. I think they are bringing a lot of glamour, a lot of changes, to the media industry. So what they are doing alone is enough to encourage other young girls to want to join the profession. But for us in NAWOJ, what we are trying to do is to provide that mentorship, to groom young girls to see that this is where they belong, and they have to find a way of coming on board to shape the narrative about women into society, because women are the one that understands those issues, those gender issues, that have remained persistent and limiting women from fulfilling their dreams and aspirations. So when we have more women in journalism profession, we have more women anchoring programs, generating content, I think we will use our platform to drive, further the conversation about gender inclusiveness, about gender issues. So we'll continue to work hard on that to ensure that we have more women in the practice of journalism.
Okay, let me take you on that. And what has NAWOJ done so far in reaching out, especially to the younger ones, to more like encourage them? You talked about mentorship, to make them embrace journalism as a very good profession.
For now, what we've done, we've asked our chairpersons in various states to ensure that they go to the various media organizations, because we have some of them, it's not that they are not just interested, they have not shown interest. Yes, but we're trying to collaborate with institutions, schools, of journalism to tell them that they still have a place here, that it is not all about money. It has to be about passion.
Yes.
Because if you're not passionate about this job, sincerely speaking, you won't survive it. Because if you think journalism is where you make money, you better think twice, because there's no money making in journalism. But there's passion. You're able to impact your society. You're able to shape conversation, and bring about development to your community, to the society. And you serve also as a role model to other young people. To me, it is the best thing you can ever give to the society. Yes. So we will work hard with the different organizations, particularly the tertiary institution, to see that we encourage those that are graduating to find themselves, whether it's just part-time job, come and learn on it. We've seen some that just came in as part-time, doing this. And at the end of the day, today, they are making their mark. Here you are. Shining. You're a shining example.
You're also shining.
You're a shining example.
Representing us well.
You're representing us well. And this is what we want to see. Young people, taking over the tubes and then pages of newspaper and making their mark.
All right. Thank you very much, Ladi Bala. It's been nice having you. And happy World Press Freedom Day.
Happy World Press Freedom Day to you. Thank you for doing a great job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, let's go on a short break. Panorama. We'll be back. Thanks for staying tuned. The Nigerian Navy's newest offshore survey vessel, NNS Lana, is on the third leg of her homeward journey to Nigeria. The ship is expected to reach Banjul, Gambia on May 4th. 2021, and will be received by officials of the Nigerian High Commission and Nigerian Navy in Gambia. Defense correspondent Najatu Tijani reports.
There she goes, casting off into the horizon. NNS Lana is homeward bound. The Navy's newest offshore vessel's journey to Nigeria is following a circuitous route after an elaborate ceremony in France. With ports of call in Lisbon, Portugal and Las Palmas, Spain, NNS Lana is currently en route Banjul, Gambia, in the third leg of her journey, which will see her stopping over in Ghana before finally coming home. NNS Lana, also known as A499, is a replacement vessel for one which was decommissioned more than 10 years ago. The new vessel is purposely built and equipped with state-of-the-art equipment to enable the Nigerian Navy conduct hydrographic surveys. It is also capable of search and rescue operations as well as patrol duties, and is expected to boost the nation's maritime security, especially around the Gulf of Guinea, which is a known pirate hotspot. Najatu Tijani, NTA News.
The Department of State Services says it will no longer tolerate deliberate machinations by subversive and hostile groups whose agenda is to throw the country into anarchy so as to serve the interests of their sponsors. A statement by the DSS spokesperson, Dr. Peter Afunaya, explains that even though democracy offers free speech, it does not give room for reckless pronouncements that is capable of undermining security. The DSS therefore warns self-centered individuals to stop engaging in acts inimical to the peace and sovereignty of the nation. The service therefore reaffirms its support to an indivisible, indissoluble and united Nigerian state in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution. Meanwhile, the service is assiduously working with other security and law enforcement agencies to ensure the maintenance of peace and internal security of the country. Among security operatives of the Nigerian Police Force attached to the Abuja State Police Command have intercepted 753 live ammunition of general-purpose machine gun concealed in a sack being transported from Abakaliki, Abuja State to Umuahia in Abia State. A statement by the Force PRO CP Frank Omba indicates that the intelligence-driven covert operation is part of efforts by the force to crack down on criminal networks and supply chains for weapons and ammunition in and around the country. Similarly, following investigations into the foiled bank robbery on the Onueke branch of a commercial bank in Abuja State, on Tuesday, 27th April 2021, police stormed the criminal hideout of suspects indicted in the investigation at Oriuzu village in Eza North local government area of Abuja State, where 3 gang members met their Waterloo following bullet injuries sustained during the exchange of gunfire. Meanwhile, efforts are ongoing to arrest other fleeing members of the gang and their spiritual godfather. In the meantime, on May 1st, 2021, gunmen driving in a white bus attacked the Amomege Divisional Police Headquarters in Onitsha, local government area of Abuja State, and started shooting sporadically at the policemen on duty while also attempting to set the police station ablaze. In the process of repelling them, 2 police officers were injured. The Commissioner of Police, Abuja State Command, CP Aliyu Garba, has vowed to do anything within the ambit of the law to ensure the perpetrators are brought to book. All right, beyond the first 10 days of Ramadan in Hausa communities of northern Nigeria is a celebration of comic festival, popularly known as Tashi, which evolved many centuries ago as a result of the need to mobilize the faithful to be alert and conscious about religious obligations and contemporary events while enjoying the fun that comes with it. Hamza Musa Makarfi shares his experience of the cultural phenomenon.
If you appreciate the resonating ambience I recognize, it may be difficult to ignore where it is coming from. A group of youngsters, among them Muhammad Lawal, about 12 years old in Magatwik community, mimics an old man who, tired of renting, wants to build a house, is accused by other players of resorting to ungodly ways to achieve his ambition. Tashi is imbued with messages to inform, educate, and entertain.
You know, it is very difficult for people to wake up at night in order to eat their own sahur. It was on that basis that the young boys, particularly from the age of 6 and 10, that normally wake up in the night dancing, singing, drumming, performing some certain dramatic performances, to wake up people at night.
This one impress of hard work as key element of societal progress and development. Girls also organize short drama depicting roles of women in marriage, challenges of childbearing and upbringing, and other crucial aspects of keeping a home. With changes over time, Tashe is celebrated in Ramadan regardless of time, and adults have joined the fun using creativity to entertain. Arguments ensue on the propriety of a cleric dancing before the public. There is Tashe, specially to celebrate royalty. But is Tashe losing momentum in the social space of Hausa community?
But unfortunately, nowadays, there are so many other windows of entertainment, and that actually has reduced the significance and the importance of Tashe. But nonetheless, if you go back to remote areas, still people practice, even in a smaller scale, the issue of Tashe, and it serves the purposes of entertainment, of engagement, of social interaction between different communities and different social classes and societies.
Tashe used to be fun back then growing up. They would start with Assalamu alaikum, Munzoyin Tashe amma ba Tashe hankali. Usually fun. All right, Kano State government has approved a 5 years extension of service for teaching staff at all levels. Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje disclosed this at an award dinner to commemorate the 2021 Workers' Day. Abdullahi Mustafa has details.
Due to COVID-19 pandemic, Ramadan fast and high temperatures, normal activities for the commemoration of the 2021 Workers' Day were suspended by the Kano State Council of the Nigeria Labour Congress. Instead, a get-together to reflect on success stories and challenges was organized. It was also used to honor civil servants and labor leaders who distinguished themselves through selfless service. Alleged unfriendly labor relations in the private sector was equally brought to the fore and was among the demands presented to the government for intervention.
Attempt for the unionization of workers in some of the private sector organizations in the state is usually truncated.
Governor Ganduje, who assured of immediate action on labor's plight, also announced approval for the extension of teachers' service years and age limit.
We have decided to increase the retirement age from 60 to 65. And this also applies to our lecturers in tertiary institutions.
He assured that government will support civil servants in the state towards securing agricultural loans and grants from federal agencies. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
Minister of State Petroleum Resources Timi Silva says when the Nigerian Local Content Act and Petroleum Industry Bill is passed, it will stimulate unprecedented development in the oil and gas sector. The minister stated this at the second graduation of the Offshore Technology Institute at the University of Port Harcourt. Jenny Bassi reports.
The event tagged Energy Transition, Industry Expectations from the Academia highlights the importance of energy transformation and the promotion of the oil and gas sector in collaboration with the academia. Minister of State for Petroleum Resources Timi Silva says the Petroleum Industry Bill has the potential to fuel massive participation of local players in the gas and oil sector of Nigeria.
In the bill, we actually seek to develop the midstream and the downstream sectors. If you realize in Nigeria, we have not really developed the midstream. So if we pass this PIB, there'll be a lot of opportunity.
While outlining the achievement of the university, Acting Vice Chancellor, University of Port Harcourt, Professor Stephen Okududu, said the second graduation of the Offshore Technology Institute is a giant stride in the energy sector.
The programs in OTI are industry tailored and have produced over 140 graduates in a total of 7 batches. Our graduates are now the major pillars of the oil and gas sector across the globe.
I'm happy that the efforts I put in actually yielded positive results.
The Offshore Technology Institute Uniport currently runs 3 intensive MSc programs, which is MSc in Pipeline Engineering, MSc in Offshore Engineering, and MSc in Subsea Engineering. MSc with the Energy Access and Renewable Energy is expected to come on stream soon. In Port Harcourt, Jenny Bassi, NTA News.
We're done with Panorama. Thank you very much for your time with us. But remember, we're still on in the fight against rape and rapies, and we want you to be a part of it. I'm Ruth Aguele. Bye.